Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to MTG Arena. Today is Friday, November 8th. We have built our last deck rebuild with a blue deck turning into a blue-white deck. So we're going to just experiment with that and try and see if we can make some tweaks. In all actuality, I probably should make it a heavier mixed half blue, half white deck instead of just a blue deck that happens to have a couple of blue-white cards in it. If I did that, I probably would turn into a better, it would probably be a better move. And it is definitely going to be harder to have blue-white decks and the combo color decks in general. Because it's taking me about 45 minutes to build a deck on a single color. It's probably going to take me an hour and a half then to build a deck. Well, it probably would only take an hour and 15 minutes to build a deck with both colors. The good news is I do have more understanding, a little bit more understanding about the cards, because if I built a blue deck and I've built a white deck, I kind of understand what a white cards typically do, and I kind of understand what blue cards typically do. I don't know if I really want to go for a third recording today, so I'm gonna try and cover the news pretty fast and pretty hard today. There's really not a lot otherwise to say, so we're gonna just jump into the news and try to go through it pretty quickly so we can wrap up maybe a little bit early. Of course, my schedule and the times that I stream are just all over the place. Sometimes it's 10 in the morning, or it was for a week or two. Sometimes it was noon, sometimes it was 2 in the afternoon, sometimes it was 5 in the afternoon, 5 in the evening, yeah. And that is really just the level of consistency I can at best promise. Right. I'm gonna play this, and then I'm going to, I can play this and make this a blue, because I have this white. Otherwise I would have had to potentially play this and make it a white, because if I do run into any white cards, I will be kind of limited. Because it's whenever you cast a blue spell target, your player puts 2 cards in their library into the graveyard. See, this is the card I need. Drown Secrets. If I had 2 Drown Secrets, then 2, 3, or 4 of those on the field, then I could play a whole bunch of spell cards and try and do a deck destruction. This is a different card back sleeve than what I've seen, so I wonder if they really are cycling out some sleeves. Which do we want? A 5/4? I probably should have played this first, come to think of it, in case he has a counter spell. This guy's really going on a theme with the Cyclopses, or trolls. What did he just do? He made it a 0/0. Or 0/4. Alright, so Gamma Sutra has an article here. Revenue down at Nexon as Dungeon and Fighter works to win back players. I've not heard of a game called Dungeon and Fighter. It's apparently some Chinese game, I guess, maybe. See, no. it seems like it's a Korean developer that releases the game in China. In China, Nexon's game Dungeon Fighter released an update that wasn't received well earlier this year, causing a significant drop in both engagement and revenue. The company expects it will take multiple quarters to fully recover from the poorly received update, but even then, Dungeon Fighter was weaker than in quarter 3 than expected. Well, I certainly know that, like updates to Android apps and such. He really is just managing to kill me. Like, I've seen some terrible updates happen. You don't see it as much in games as other kinds of software, like Windows versions, Windows 10 and such. Things just not being well received. I'll play this, and then play this, and then attack here. Why did this creature with flying get blocked by this creature? He's really doing it. This is the first time I've seen somebody actually seemingly have the chance to make me lose by running out of cards. I've seen a lot of people try it, but it more often than not was feeling like it was more often than not it felt like it was more of just a simple attempt at, how did I not play that quick enough? All right. So 1, 2. You know what? Instead of counting, let's just tap. 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 Alright. Well, that didn't work. Target a creature. If I survive to the next turn, which I won't, I should have saved some mana and canceled that. But he probably had plenty of time. So, applaud for that. Unfortunately, I'm missing the 2 cards that would be necessary to really build a deck like that. So, if we were gonna go in here and go into craft mode and then just say show me all of the blue cards that we have not collected. Let's see. What would it really cost to play those cards? Well, I'm pretty sure it had discard in the name, so if I type in discard, let's see. Swear. Do I have those cards? And did I just not play them? They had to have been an artifact. Don't remember what they looked like though. There's something about whenever you cast a spell, your opponent discards a card, and I don't see that. Let's see. We filter down to artifacts and enchantments. Then. It's probably not an enchantment because I assume an enchantment is something you put on characters. So as we saw them play that. Maybe it wasn't a blue card. Maybe it was a colorless card. Yeah, maybe it was either a multicolored card or a colorless card. Whenever you discard a card, exile it. Creatures in the graveyards and library can't either enter the battlefield. Players can't cast spells from their graveyards or libraries. Interesting. Let's see. Where is this card? How can I see some? I should have memorized the name instead of just getting a general visual feel for what the card was. Look at your opponent's hand, then choose any card name. Activate abilities of sources, but the chosen names can't be activated unless they are mana abilities. Where is it? Man. This feels like a dumb waste of time now because I'm not gonna find it. How can I not find it? Somebody just played these cards against me. Oh man, I still have so much to learn. Obviously, I can't even find a simple card. And to a certain level, I think it is kind of this game's fault more than anything else. Is the interface in this game is not great. Right, blue. I'm gonna type in spell. And then hit enter. And then what are we looking for? An artifact. That might be the problem. Just reset. Just show me blue with spell in the name. Blue or colors. And then spell. Must not be an artifact. But what would be on the side that's not an artifact? That would be the question. Because you have instants and sorceries, creature cards. That's the 3 types of cards that I know exist. Let's just look at what's not collected. Let's just assume that I don't. I'm going to give it one more try and then I'm going to give up. Right. Alright, here it is. Drowned Secrets. I did see the name, didn't I? So if I was to put 2 of these in my deck, it would require rare wild cards. And then you could play a blue spell deck, all about casting spells. Although a lot of the blue spells are also, and I guess there's nothing you can really do here than other. Can we put this in the sideboard? And then hit done? No, you can't. Alright, crafting mode, then click on it. There we go. So that was very much a waste of time just to figure out the name of a card and whether or not I had it and what level of rarity it was. But yeah, seems like there is a deck that could be built if you have Drowned Secrets. It seems like you probably would need 4 Drowned Secrets and then a couple of other cards that synergized around casting spells, and then a deck that is almost 100% after that point built around the concept of casting spells, which would put you very low in creatures. And it probably would end up at that level being a deck where you're having to draw a lot of your own cards to get the right cards that you need before you can even play Drowned Secrets. And so you might run out of you might just run out of things before you can even play the cards you want to play. Alright, this, and then a blue, and then put this on the field. Alright, now what do I want? We want that and that on the bottom. I don't see a real reason to do that. Next story on the news. Let's start covering the news a lot more. Call of Duty and World of Warcraft push Activision Blizzard to better than expected Q3. So much for the boycott. Although, frankly, in all fairness, we kind of knew this was gonna happen. So it really shouldn't come as like any kind of big surprise to anybody that Call of Duty and World of Warcraft expansions would catch a lot of people's attention. Almost certainly they are trying to fudge the numbers a little bit too. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a little bit in reserve with their generally accepted accounting procedure which is just basically lying. But it's what every company does. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a Q4 impact of the boycott. And I think I really am going to have to make a chart of just why I'm boycotting certain companies for what reason. Otherwise, I'm personally going to stop remembering why. Go. Yeah, with Call of Duty coming out now and World of Warcraft coming out now, Activision Blizzard also probably has nothing really new to release for a while. Got too much mana. Seems pretty obvious at this point. So I need to probably get rid of some things. TechRaptor has an article here in Nutaku, the adult game publisher storefront, has a game called Soul Senkai that lets you command busty battle souls. It's a gacha game with 50 plus girls available to unlock. Not unlike Destiny Child, but I think actually on PC. And also unlike Destiny Child, I think you probably will see full-on nudity without having to apply any kind of patch or anything like that. If the gameplay is alright, there might be a reason to play this, but I imagine the gameplay is pretty repetitive and boring. It's free to play. The reason why I like Destiny Child is because the game plays itself, so the fact that it is boring doesn't become a major factor in the gameplay. I was not thinking that through. Hello? Also, yeah, if Destiny Child was constantly showing actual nudity, it'd be a lot harder to play that in general public or on a commute, whereas Destiny Child just gets up to lewd imagery and titillates more than becomes explicit. It's not explicit, really. I wouldn't mind having a fictional 16-year-old kid of mine play Destiny Child, where him playing an actual Nutaku game would be a concern, because frankly I would prefer him or her in this scenario. Let's not gender it. I prefer them to actually be out dating or dealing with real people and not falling into a world of living in fantasy. And frankly, yeah, probably would get any parent in trouble if they were letting their kids play anything from Nutaku, which is an adult site that wants adults only to play it. So yeah, he's got a synergy here. A blue-red deck going very aggro, whereas my deck is the opposite of aggro, just mana on top of mana on top of mana. Moving on, TechCraft has an article, Bridge Constructor Portal is getting more levels. I did want to play this because I love Portal, and I don't inherently hate Bridge Constructor games. So it's interesting as they're getting new levels. It's DLC where you have to pay for it. It seems like it probably is a paid DLC though, and seems to me like that's kind of pretty late to the party. There you go. Look at this big pile here. So notice how it puts the shadow here. I don't see a reason why you really need a shadow there. It just kind of gets in the way. I would say it would be pretty easy to turn the shadows off in a lot of scenarios, except for flying, and then just have shadows when they're flying, and that be a little visual effect that would probably make this game run better on cell phones once it eventually has to be ported to cell phones. For very little loss visually. I don't think anybody realistic at least is going to go on a rant talking about how MTG Arena took out the shadows. Whereas on the other hand, I would say these background images, there needs to be more variety around them. There's not a lot. Magic has play mats, and the equivalent, there aren't play mats you can buy, thank goodness, but instead you get just kind of some generic play mats that you don't really do much with, like these. There's needs to be more variety in those, I would say. But then on the mobile version, maybe you don't play with any play mats and you just make it a high contrast black and white. I would say there should probably be a setting here for visually impaired people, where you could say don't show play mats, but I bet there isn't any setting like that. Yeah, no, there's really no setting like this, and we're at 720p in the graphics. Interesting. Was that 1080p at one point? I swear it was. They seem to have changed it back to 720p, which honestly I can't really complain about that too much, because honestly it'd be better if it was a lower resolution so I could read things better. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Sony's Yoshida steps down as the head of WWS to focus on independent development. So, let's see. Sony Interactive Entertainment on Thursday announced that Herman Holst, co-founder and manager of the Horizon Zero Dawn company Guerrilla, would be the new head of Sony's worldwide studios, which is what I guess WWS is referencing, worldwide studios. So this is the shift we keep seeing, is that more Japanese people are leaving / fleeing Sony, and the Western people are taking control. At what point does Sony Interactive Entertainment, or Sony in general, just become a Western company that just gets rid of its parent company in Japan completely for tax reasons, or just because culturally it's no longer a Japanese company run mostly by Japanese people? So yeah, we're seeing the shifting a lot here of what Sony Interactive, the PlayStation part of Sony, is becoming, and this is all happening before the release, right before the release, relatively speaking, of the PlayStation 5, which does not bode well for the PlayStation 5 at all. And we've frankly just seen too many people leave for it to just be a simple small issue or a single person deciding to retire. There is a huge cultural shift happening, and it is, and all the talent is being drained out of Sony. Where will they go after that point? I don't know. Will they all go form different companies, or will they all join the same company? Who knows? Seems like a significant amount of people that worked on Death Stranding had walked out with Kojima, and that had not been mentioned or announced up until this point. OpenCritic has the same article, but they phrase it a little bit differently. Guerrilla's Herman Holst, promoted to head of Worldwide Studios. Shoei Yoshida takes on a new role with Indies. I guess maybe I'm misreading this. He's still inside the company, so I'm misinterpreting this, I guess, a little bit. But being moved, or effectively being demoted, like, I don't see how you don't depict that as a demotion when you were the head of Worldwide Studios and now you're in charge of Indies. I mean, it might be a passion. I question that. Let's see. Still have way too much mana. I think I keep forgetting to go back and edit the deck to get rid of some of this mana, obviously. Obviously I need more to do that. In a weird way though, like, I have creatures right now on the field and I'm just still getting aggroed. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Nintendo 3DS support will continue into 2020. Okay, good to know. But it also really is just an indicator that if you, particularly this Christmas season, have a kid that's still playing with 3DS, now would be the time to get a Switch or Switch Lite. Although there is a story later that I think they're selling one of the original versions of the Switch as a Amazon Prime sale, which would mean it's the not improved version of the Switch. Right. What's the easiest way to edit a deck? Let's see. So one of these days I'm probably gonna have to come to realization I wasted my wild cards creating these cards, and gaining 1 life while losing 1 mana probably isn't that useful. But I'm not ready to admit that to myself yet. So, Overwhelmed Apprentice. Each opponent puts the top 2 cards of the library into the graveyard, then you scry 2. I don't think I need that. And then target player puts 4 cards into the library. I don't think I need that. I think what we have to do here is add as many cards as we can. And be helpful if I didn't have all these extra cards I don't have. Alright. Two more cards. Well, geez, that's all I have. All right, well, then I guess we will come back here and then type in flying and let's see. One with flying compared to healing. All right. Okay. Let's try that. Little tweak there. In all honesty, I probably should have just looked at a flying creature that was a blue instead of moving further to being a blue-white deck. Because if I move much further into being a blue-white deck, I'm going to have to put a lot more white mana on the field. I'm gonna mulligan here, and I'm gonna keep this, and what can we do? Just put that on the bottom. Alright, next we have a game on Steam called Pistol Whip, which looks like it's a VR game where you run around shooting things and maybe actually pistol whip some people in VR, which swinging your hand around in VR, if that's really the way you control the gun, would be somewhat dangerous. I feel like that's true for pretty much all of VR. So yeah, you're getting a depiction here of what the game looks like. What is controlling your movement, though? It seems like you're on rails, weaving in and out. That's not a terrible thought. In fact, it's better than what I've seen done in a lot of other instances. So Pistol Whip is very positive. I'll put it on the follow list since it's a VR game. It's $24.99. It has English full audio, and that's the only language. Let's see. 2. Let's see. Not ready to play that card. This is the card that would bring in cards from your side deck. And this is the first time I've tried to play any card that would work via a side deck. And it's interesting how you can only really have 15 cards in your side deck, so you can't really play anything too crazy by the looks of it. Alright. at that point we should have a decent amount of mana. Of course, if I was going to play this, I would need another white, so it probably wouldn't have been a bad idea to play a white here. Next we have a game on Steam called Steam Doll's Order of Chaos demo. It's a demo, so I don't really need to put it on the follow list. Looks like it might be an interesting platformer from the Shady Gentleman. It's free to play, English only. I feel like I've heard of the Shady Gentleman as a... let's see. Made Phantasma VR. What is Phantasma VR? That name sticks out. It's on my follow list. It's a VR puzzle game. Alright, let's do this. Pull that. Oh man. You can only do non-creature cards. So I just wasted that. So I could put a bunch of land in my side deck and then pull this and play that land spell. You could do instants, you could do sorceries, or you could do land. Otherwise, it's pretty useless. So there might be a strategy here. If you were to do a blue-white deck, you have 3 of these, or 4 of these, and then 4 white lands and 4 blue lands in your side deck. You could then bring it in and play it. And that probably would be one of the best strategies so far that I have thought of or seen, to bring in specific lands. Unless there's some rule you can't have land in your side decks, which that would be the next question to ask. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Psy Hall No, which looks like it's a low effort first person shooter asset flip game. Fear looks a lot like some of these low effort first person shooter asset flip games. The difference is it's a 15-year-old game. English is not even supported for this. This is a Russian only game. I would assume it's a low effort game, if not a troll game. Let's see. About to lose. Yeah, Psy-Hanal not needed to be on the follow list, of course. Right. We still have yet to get a single victory. So edit deck, sideboard, land. What? Why can I not? Why can I not see any land here? There we go. Something about that. Something about added wanting uncolored and multicolored at the same time. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4 in theory on top of 1, 2, 3, 4 there. And that does count towards your 15. course. And then if there was any kind of spell, instant, sorcery, enchantment, anything there that I absolutely would want to play, I'm not sure what it would be. We'll just pick that as an option. That way, in case we play that card and can't play land, we have something we can at least do. I can't help but feel that this is a really bad deck build, though. I'm not sure exactly what to change, because frankly I think so much needs to be changed, but something clearly needs to be changed. I'm already incredibly uncomfortable in my chair today. Seems like that's happening quite a lot. And yeah, I need still a month of voice rest. And that's not happening. And it doesn't seem like this guy's going to play, so we might get a quick disconnect. So while this is happening, we have a game on Steam here called The Secrets of Jesus. It looks like it's a point and click, and I do say I'm a sucker for point and clicks. Now, generally speaking, I don't want to play a game based off of any religion, because A, YouTube may have a problem with that, B, they tend not to be very good video games, and C, other people might have a problem with it. This does seem like it's a game that implies by this that it is going through pretty much the entire New Testament experience. Let's get rid of that. I want to hold on to this because I don't think I've played that yet. So, being as objective as possible, I think I have to put it on the follow list, and we'll just see if there's any kind of positive reception. Because, frankly, you probably won't get positive reception, even if it's not a really good game. People who tend to be highly hyper-religious won't know what Steam is, or use computers in at all, or use computers in an extremely limited fashion, and they probably won't come in droves and review bomb this game positively, and I doubt too many trolls will bother to review bomb the game negatively. In general, I don't think anybody's going to review it at all, because it is discounted here to $11.69, which is a little too expensive for a point-click adventure. It's English and German, with 12 achievements, one of which is a bloody number 12. So yeah, I'm just going to leave this for 6 months, and we'll see if any reviews happen. It's not widescreen, the animation doesn't look particularly good. I'm probably being too generous and treating it with kids' gloves compared to any other point-and-click adventure. It would definitely not be on the list. And for all you know, this is a troll game, or a joke game, so there is that possibility that it's insulting instead of just being insultingly bad. I don't know if the story of the New Testament stories, the adult Jesus life, is even the best story in the Bible to try to turn into a video game. I don't think any of the stories in the Bible particularly have a good chance of being turned into a video game, just because there's so much familiarity with them for most Western people. So it's not going to tell anything interesting until you start to change the story, and if you change the story, well, then you're doing something that I imagine a lot of people wouldn't appreciate. All these cards can't play any of them because they require white mana, and I don't have any white mana on the field. And I could fix that if I could get any kind of mana, so I could play this, but I might very well lose before that happens. Yeah, next turn I could fix it. Yeah, if I was gonna make it, if I had to make a game based on any biblical story, I'd probably set it in the Old Testament and have you play as a soldier of one of the 12 tribes of Israel, or one of the tribes of Israel. I think there are 12. And then you would have that opportunity to have more action in the game. But then that's basically an Assassin's Creed game, and Assassin's Creed 1, if they ever made one in actual biblical times, which they'd almost certainly never bother to do because that would be too risky. Let's see. So this removes one colorless cost. It doesn't remove one blue mana cost, which goes to show why so many cards have a cost of a specific color and then a bunch of colorless. It's because they don't want you to be able to turn a bunch of these cards into colorless cards. So I have to play white here. Do this. Moving on, we have a Gamatsu article. Paper-based puzzle game. Kaminazo Mirai Kara no Omoide has been announced for Switch. This looks interesting. Probably a simple puzzle. Let's see. I'm gonna watch this trailer, but considering even though this is a Switch trailer, I'm gonna be careful and see and watch it off screen. So the trailer seems to show that you need to actually have paper and cut the paper. So the Switch game itself might be mostly just instructions. Or maybe it's just having you fold one of those decision things. No. This really does feel like you have to maybe go to a website and print some things out and cut and fold paper. Yeah, that seems exactly what's happening here. Is you're cutting and folding paper with kind of a lazily drawn anime pencil sketch anime here. I think it's these two friends have been friends forever, and then they by the end of the story will obviously fall in love, but it does seem like the majority of the game is actually printing out paper and cutting paper, and that's weird. That is weird. Alright. So this is not working. We need to make some major changes here. We wanted a blue deck. We ended up with a blue-white deck. It's not working. Let's get rid of that. And then let's see. Get rid of that. Why do I even have that? This is too expensive, so let's get rid of that. And then come over to land and just give me 7 white lands. Which is probably not the right move, but we'll see. This probably will just put me back to having too much mana and not enough to do. Let's see. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam here that's an Asian characters world training camp. This looks like a low effort VR shooting gallery, for lack of a better term. English not supported. $1.89 discounted. Chinese only. Yep. Compared to a lot of cheap Chinese games, though, this actually doesn't look terrible. But it's not VR. It looks like it is, but it isn't. Okay. I think we may have something here. Next we have a game on Steam called Eve Aether Wars Demo, which is from CCP, it says. So this is the creators of EVE Online, or this is somebody specifically pretending to be the creators of EVE Online, and they are trying to sell this new MMO, which you can try the tech demo. Now, I don't believe EVE Online... oh, well. EVE Online is on Steam. Well, I never really thought I'd play it because it's an MMO, and I still don't think I'd play it, but I didn't realize it was on Steam. So yeah, Eve is working on a new game apparently, or the creators of Eve is working on a new game. I would have sworn that this was an attempt to create some name confusion and pretend like you were Eve when you really weren't. It's nice to see that's not the case. It's nice every once in a while to assume the worst and be proven wrong, instead of assuming the worst and being proven right, which is typically what happens. Or assuming the best and then being proven wrong sucks too. Next we have a game on Steam here called Square Norm, which looks like it's just a platformer low effort game with some boss. $9.99 English only. That is way too expensive. Alright. Play this. Then cards cost less. It's interesting that we're getting a fire effect just because we're either playing a red person.
I'm happy as a hellion to start some fires.
Or because this one character's on the field. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Stratoscope.
Say hi to my fiery friends.
Looks like a stand in one place and shoot VR game. Yeah, wave-based, stand in one place shooting while standing on some kind of raising platform of some sort and getting higher and higher into space. Right, choose blocker, block. Probably shouldn't even have blocked because there's a decent chance he does have a 1 mana spell that does 2 damage. Yep. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. Yeah, I don't think Strascope. It's $19.99, no discount. Requires VR. I don't think it's an experience you would want to have where you're either going up or falling down and shooting, which just feels like you would get vertigo or motion sickness pretty quickly. Worse than most video games.
These little guys are great!
This time. Let's see.
I'm telling Mother Ludi on you.
So, yeah. We got 3 damage now, so at the very least it doesn't seem like they can cast their next thing. Or at least they can't cast the -2 thing. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Brain Cloud Bombers, which just looks like a low effort game where you play as a bomber from a top-down perspective, which is a weird perspective. This is free to play, multiplayer, single player. It says third-party account required, English only. It feels like it is definitely trying to look like Bomber Crew, but not really doing a lot to prove that to work. Well, it just no block. Alright. Here. And here. Probably should have stopped that one. Actually. And then here. And here.
Just, Ian's walk it off, Chandra.
This next game is tag nudity, so I want to double check it. Double check all these screenshots. Yeah, it does, this is from, it says Kagura Games, but actually the logo I thought was saying Kodakawa Games. So Kagura Games is the right one. So what did I do wrong there? Probably too few minions. Still, it seems like weak minions or too few minions. So blue. I guess it is significantly easier to make a blue deck than it would be to make a green deck because of just the order here. Flash. Interesting. Do I need flash though? Surveil. Alright, well, so I'm going to take out one here, one here, one here, and one here. Still have yet to get to the Mystic Sanctuary to play. Actually, I probably don't need Mystic Sanctuary, come to look at it. So we'll just get rid of that. Still going for that first victory of the day. So here's a game called Apostle. It looks like it's an RPG Maker game with some kind of relatively well animated but terribly anatomically correct large busted characters. This looks pretty low effort, even if that is your thing, is big bust or giant busts. Playing an RPG Maker looking game is not really what you want to do, particularly not for $16.99 discounted, and it's English and Chinese, which tells me it's probably not that good. I would assume Kagura Games might be known for this level of quality, because it does seem like when it comes to low effort visual novels or low effort, and I'm gonna have to keep this, but I'm not very happy about it. Yeah, it does seem like name brand shopping, if you can recognize a name, is one of the best things you could possibly do if you are going to be buying lewd adult visual novels or RPGs. Because there are a lot of pretenders out there. Moving on, we have a article from Gamatsu. Fire Emblem's Three Houses version 1.1.0 update. Expansion Pass DLC Wave 3 is now available. So yeah, Fire Emblem for the Switch is still getting updates, still getting support. People are still liking it moderately well, from what I understand. Alright. So at this point, I'm going to just stop looking at any of the games on Steam, and I'm just going to try and cover the news, and I just want to wrap up. We're at 1 hour and 10 minutes for this recording. I've not been able to make a single victory, and I know this is kind of short-changing, but it's one of these Friday videos where not too many people are going to watch anyways. I've been able to maintain actually a higher viewership on Magic the Gathering Arena than I had been for Hearthstone, but kind of just not feeling, I'm not really feeling playing a third game today, so we'll just leave the games on Steam to talk about. I'll curate it a little bit and we'll talk about it on Monday. Twitch support had some trouble. 6 hours ago they said we identified and resolved the issue preventing people from accessing help.twitch.tv. And then 13 hours before that they identified an issue preventing users from logging into the PS4 app. So, and then the help portal was down again on November 6th. So, yep, there's... Twitch is still having fragmented support at best. Just play this. And next. See, Gamatsu has an article, Tale of Fragmented Star, main game announced for the PlayStation VR and PC VR, the main story to the 2018 released prologue game. Never heard of this though, so it clearly wasn't that interesting. Tale of Fragmented Star single fragment version topped 10,000 copies, so it's an incredibly short run and small sales number. But that's kind of the beauty of a lot of Japanese products, is the idea that they really only have to get 10,000 Japanese fans to pay $70 to $140 for a game that is only 5 to 10 hours long, potentially, and then they've made their money back. So it's not...
I don't know what I'm doing here, but it's gonna be fun.
A lot of games in Japan and a lot of art released in Japan in particular are targeted to the hardcore whales fans instead of a more broad audience, which the Western video game sales mentality is also kind of shifting towards more hardcore whale fans instead of the instead of going for broad appeal. Because broad appeal is failing pretty miserably. Like, you look at movies these days, and many of the movies are
reach into that ley line
huge failures. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article, Come to GDC and see how Indivisible's striking art style was achieved. The real question, of course, would be how does Indivisible actually play and how well is it received as a game, because it's been selling itself and promoting itself for years now amongst based on its visuals, which that works if you're making a movie. It doesn't work so much if you're making some interactive medium. Czech Raptor has an article, this Street Fighter 2 arcade machine is a knockout punch. Is this a one-up arcade machine, or is this some other company? I saw a teardown of, I believe it's the SNK game fight stick that has like 20 games built into it, and the teardown does have enough room where you could put a Raspberry Pi in it. You probably would have to replace the controller boards and possibly even rewire the daughter board that all the connectors are connected to. But outside of that element, it does seem very doable to replace it. Now, I vaguely recall that the SNK fight stick, though, it's not really going for any cheaper than any other fight stick. The same person that did the teardown was promoting a fight stick that's on sale right now on Amazon for $90. It's not discounted in any way. It's just $90, which I think from his perspective and from his world, is probably still a good deal, depending on what kind of quality parts you get in a fight stick. But from a
I sure hope you can
more
handle the heat.
average game player's perspective, paying $90 for a fight stick is not something I would like to do. It probably would never be worth my time, but I really wish I could just wander around thrift stores every now and then and see if somebody would leave a force feedback controller, driving controller setup, or a fight stick setup. But let's see. I'm about to lose. Flying. Next. Let's kill this.
Well, my spirit's been doused.
There we go. TechCraft has an article here. Cardpocalypse lands on consoles December 12th. So a new game called Cardpocalypse is coming. But if you want to play it on Steam, you have to wait until next year. So I'll wait till it comes out on Steam before I do anything more with it. TechCraft has an article, Beware, Nintendo Switch Black Friday deal has a nasty surprise. Fine Print puts a downer on the Mario Kart 8 bundle. This isn't any lower than the standard retail price for the Nintendo Switch. The inclusion of Mario Kart 8 makes it particularly tantalizing. Fine Print says it includes a Nintendo Switch console model HAC001. Battery life ranges from about 2.5 hours to 6.5 hours, which means that it is the old version of the battery life. So they are clearing out the newer model would be the HAC001-01 model. But I imagine people will still fall for that, yeah. Need to just auto pass with no blocks. So yeah, I imagine if you see anything on sale this Black Friday, there's a good chance that something like that's gonna happen. Oh man, I wasn't reading. Each opponent discards a card. I needed that card. Alright, well. Face race, I guess. Face race and lose. No loss. Game Sutra has an article, Steam game sales for the other 50%. Let's see. There's a speculation that 50 to 70% of all Steam games don't sell more than 1,000 copies during their lifetime. So yeah, Steam really should think about adjusting what kind of storefront it is. It is almost like it is a thrift store or garbage store. Just we have one of these things and that's it. Well, this blog seems to spout a bunch of numbers, and I don't know if I trust any of them. But yeah. Yeah. So some of those numbers literally were lifetime sales of less than $25. So if you had paid $100 to Valve plus 30% of your sales to Valve, Valve is making bank on a lot of people thinking that they'll make money on Steam and then not ever realizing that. So it might be helpful. It might actually be helpful for people to constantly spout that, you know what, Steam is not a good platform for small indie developers, because that seems like that's the case. And I don't know how Valve really fixes that without just picking winners and losers, or committing to a much more quality system. All they've really done with Steam Direct is get rid of Steam Greenlight, which was just getting manipulated anyways. I see the beginning of the end. Let's just cover this news, and then I just want to wrap up because, yeah, I'm just not feeling it today. Gamasutra has an article. Sony is opening a Malaysian art studio to boost its first-party development. This, I think, also is kind of the weirdness of how Sony is now becoming this Western-style global company and not a Japanese company. That they're just going to open a studio in Malaysia, probably to underpay artists in Malaysia. And for no other reason than that. TechRaptor has an article here, Demon Pit review, which is not a game I've heard of. It looks like it's just a low effort Quake clone. They gave it a 7.0, and since it's not that interesting to me, I'm not going to go any further with that. Let's see. Gamasutra has an article here. Net revenue is up 74% at Take-Two thanks to Borderlands 3, NBA, and GTA, and others. So, that boycott also not being very effective. So, yeah. Seems like the old adage, boycotts don't work, are pretty much the same. Although it seems like for video game companies in particular, it's net sales are up for everybody. Net sales and profits are at Square Enix, despite HD game struggles. I don't even know what Square Enix released in the last quarter. The Division 2, I guess. Dragon Quest at Walk and Romancing Saga Universe. Final Fantasy 15 had a new expansion. Yep. None of those games terribly big sellers. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article here. Game Fairy announced as a new indie collector edition site, which seems to be a place you would go to order collector's editions. But I don't think particularly to any kind of discount. And even if it was a discount, it's still not really something that I would want to do. The reason why I like Humble Bundle and talk about it is because Humble Bundle allows you to donate, in most cases, 100% of the profits to charity, which makes me feel good. And it puts the games on deep sale. Whereas most other sites that are just Steam key resellers or resellers of games don't really put it on sale at all. And I still don't go to Humble Bundle store and try to buy games from their storefront ever. I only look at the Humble Bundles themselves, which there can be 3-4 months in a row where there's not anything new for you to get, particularly once you've gotten 10 or 12 of the Humble Bundles. Moving on, Tech Raptor has an article, Arise, a simple story enters the afterlife. Which I don't know what that means, enters the afterlife. Does that mean the game has been canceled? Or does that just mean that the game takes place in the afterlife? This is kind of one of those hype articles, isn't it? Yep. They don't have anything to say other than to hype it up. TechCraft has an article here. Puzzler Superliminal is coming to November. It's coming November 12th. This is the size changes based on your perspective. It's a pretty cool idea. I'm not sure how well it will actually play out in the game. It launches for the Epic Stores November 12th. By the way, the Epic Store has a new free game, I think, coming out pretty soon. But I couldn't even remember to tell you which one it was. TechRaptor has an article here. Brass Lion Entertainment announces first game universe. Yep, another hype article. Let's see. What is the first game universe? Brass Lion is a studio made up from members who worked on Fallout. Yeah, we talked about them already. This was the company that wanted to be super diverse in its fictional storytelling, instead of being focused on being diverse in its hiring and business practices. The first project is called Corner Wolves, taking place in Harlem in the mid-90s. We already talked about this. Yeah. Tech Raptor is just being slow to the turn. Let's see, Tech Raptor has an article here. Games Planet weekend deals bring discounts aplenty. I imagine, yeah, we are now way too early, but we are now entering the Black Friday sales for video games and everything. It's just starting now, and it's just not going to let up until probably the end of the year. I imagine they'll push sales all the way to New Year's without any break. TechRaptor has an article, Avicii Inventor coming to PC, Xbox One in December. This looks like a racing neon game. Doesn't look terrible, but I've seen a lot of these. It originally launched in 2017 for the PS4. Is it Avicii Invector? Yeah. It's some kind of music-based game, so I probably couldn't cover it even if I wanted to. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article here. Niantic is developing Pokemon Go Buddy Adventure and other AR improvements. Interesting. Buddy Adventure is a brand new feature that's coming from Niantic. For the first time, players will be able to interact with their Pokemon via augmented reality, and their friends can watch it happen. Interesting. Instead of their friends playing with them, the friends are going to just watch you play with a virtual character. That's probably not mentally healthy, if I was to guess. Yeah, and I didn't get a single victory here on MTG, so I probably will just end up playing my favorite black deck, which is still winning well enough, and then get 15 victories that way. And yeah, we've got some articles here we already talked about, so I'm skipping over them. Let's see, Gamatsu has an article, Underknife and Birth, blah 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 for PS4 is going to receive a update to the newer version and a balance update in DLC. This is a fighting game, I believe, with a ridiculously long name. But I imagine getting an updated version of your fighting game is something that you would like. Gamatsu has an article here that's interesting to mention and point out. Okami HD, Mega Man 11, and Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, all of which are not games that really would have sold too well, have sold 1 million units. All these games also came out quite a while ago, like 6 months or more. So if you're a big time developer, publisher like Capcom, and you're barely getting 1 million sales on some games, where if you have a big hit, of course, you get 14 million of Monster Hunter World, or 6.8 million of Resident Evil 7, or 4.7 million, but then you start to see there's a pretty large drop off of some of these other games too. So the tentpole game concept still seems to be very much in effect. One game is bringing in so much money that it can fund the development of 3 or 4 other games that may not actually bring in any money at all. Gamatsu has an article here. The next Trails game is due out September 2020 in Japan. That would be the sequel to the Trails series, like Trails of Cold Steel, I guess, yeah. So yeah, a new game in that series, which I don't think anybody would be surprised to hear that there's going to be a new game in a series like that. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here. Senri no Kifu Gendai Shogi Mystery launches February 27th in 2020. I don't know if this is a game that would ever come around here. Senri the detective, I bet, is what Kifu stands for, and then Gendai Shogu Mystery is Shogu is the Japanese chess, or shogi. I think so. All right. Yep. Don't really think I need to go any further than that, though. This is just a mystery adventure game. Probably a lot of talking. Probably very similar to a visual novel. Gamer Sutra has an article. Simutronics is hiring an assistant technical artist in Maryland Heights, Missouri. And we have like 3 more articles to cover. We already talked about that. This is a story that has been developing. We've kind of already knew this was their intention in China. But China has put out details to a new playtime and spending restrictions for minors playing online games. Last I heard, it was going to try to require like taking pictures with a face cam, and limiting the hours and limiting the times that people can they're going to try that, certainly. And in a weird way, it's not really, it's a totalitarian law, but it's not a terrible thought in general. I already talked about Magic Arena having some troubles. Like here we have a pinned tweet from October 18th. We hear your concerns about performance, so we'd like to talk about it in today's State of Gameplay. Why is this the pinned tweet, though? So they're talking about the October update still. they need a better pinned tweet by far. Let's see. For players participating in the Omniscient draft, the event has been re-enabled and extended until Monday, November 11th. For all others, please contact support. Ooh. So I kind of need to do this draft because it ends, and it's not really telling me it ends, by Monday the 11th. So, do I risk it, or do I go another hour? I really don't want to go another hour, though. I really can't even afford to pay the 5,000 gold for this. 3 draft packs of Core 20. Yeah, I don't think we do this one. I think we just skip this one. I think this is the beginning of realizing we don't earn enough gold to justify doing every single draft that they're going to throw at us. Wizards of the Coast in particular is going to be bad about trying to suck money out of free-to-play players, so they stop becoming free-to-play players. So yeah, I'm gonna skip the Omniscient draft. We'll probably get another Omniscient draft within a year at maximum, so that's not gonna be a big loss. And so that brings me to the Humble Bundle store, and it looks like it will be 3 more days until any new bundle starts. And then I can look at my Twitter feed, and let's just wrap it up here. I have only about 10 maybe 20 games that are on Steam, so curating that down should be nothing. Apparently, Where the Water Tastes Like Wine is coming to the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on November 29th. That game came out like a year ago. I didn't realize it hadn't come out to consoles. Well, it won't really sell any better on consoles than it did on PC. That wasn't the problem. The problem is it's just too boring of a game and too weird of a game. Let's see. Keep on scrolling down until we see that we've seen everything. Since it's only been about 2.5 hours, it's not like even a lot would have happened on Twitter. Death Stranding for PC to be available via Steam and the Epic Games Store. Good to hear. Of course, the question is, do I even want to play Death Stranding? I've watched other people play it. It doesn't seem like the game is much. It never really sold itself as much. It just sold itself as being very pretty. And so I just don't think it's a game, honestly, that's for Western people at all. I think Japanese people see something very different from that game than what everybody else sees. And they're probably getting a very different story, and I think there's a lot happening here that is just getting forgotten or overlooked. Yep. So yeah, I think that it probably needs a retranslation, and if it weren't for the fact that Kojima was now moving on to make movies, it seems they probably won't ever bother to retranslate it or get a good translator in their production company. OpenCritic has an article here. EA crushes Skate 4 dreams after ditching the trademark. Okay. let's see. Activision Blizzard microtransaction sales down 31%, but it's still $700 million according to OpenCritic. So people did leave Hearthstone at least, but they didn't leave every Activision Blizzard game. We'll talk about that on Monday. Yeah, and I think that's probably it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can mention the Jumanji game is now available on Steam. That probably shouldn't matter to anybody. Yep, I'm just not really feeling like I want to struggle and play for another hour. And today was a good day to end early. So that's going to be it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.